Yep.
There we go.
Good afternoon, Gert. How are you?
Yeah, very good, Kuldip. How's
Lovely.
life?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Lovely to see you. And I'm really looking forward to our digital transformation experience webinar.
Yes, me too. I'm really looking forward to it and see what's going to happen, even with this really warm weather that we're having.
Yes. I hope you've got lots of water and fluids.
Absolutely, absolutely, and a fan. I hope it's not audible.
Sure. Let's let's see if we've got our audience navigating themselves from either straight into WebJam or they're sending messages on how to connect. I
Yep.
reckon there could be a little bit of delay as we get our the attendees in. So let's
Yes.
give a little bit of time for that as
Well,
well.
we see that Dave has joined in the meantime,
Oh, okay.
so that's good.
Yeah, I can see 3 attendees. That's 2 including and
Nope, that wouldn't be. We've got Dave and Phil.
Dave and Phil. You got surnames by any chance?
If they type them in, then yes. But maybe they can put those in the chat.
Yeah. So good afternoon, everybody. If you've joined our webinar on WebJam, in the chat function, it would be great if you could just put in which city are you in. So, for example, I'm going to say London. I'm in London. Did everybody get that message? I'm not sure.
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm in London. Oh, Gert's in Antwerp. And Dave and Phil, be great to see where you guys are from. Oh, Phil Person. Is that Gartner? Is that Phil from Gartner? I think. Maybe. Oh, Londonish. David. Yes, I know David.
Yep.
Will from Oxford. David from sunny Huddersfield. Well, hey, it's sunny all over the UK. And with Gert being in Belgium, is it sunny there?
It's totally sunny here. We've got 30 degrees Celsius and rising.
Nice, nice. Okay. So let our web jammers join. And
Yep. We got Benjamin who joined us as well.
Benjamin. Where are you from, Benjamin? Do put it in the chat function, just a city that you're in. And if you want to say if it's hot or warm or sticky or muggy, maybe it's raining somewhere, I don't know. It's definitely predicted rain here tomorrow where I'm in West London.
Okay. Yeah, for us tomorrow here as well. We're gonna have some local showers because these temperatures are really not normal, at least not for Belgium. So.
Yeah, I'm just going to have a look.
We've got Ranjit as well now.
Oh, okay. Where are you from, Ramjit? Do tell us.
Yeah, you can put that in the chat function. We're going to give it 1 or 2 more minutes.
Yep.
What do you think, Kuldip? It's been 5 past, and we need to be respectful to the people that joined on
Yeah,
time.
absolutely. We should probably kick off. And if people are running late, that's fine. If they are joined up and want to see the recording, they can, because they will. We will record this, and it is being recorded, so they can always catch up afterwards.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'll give you the word to start off.
Yeah. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you might be. Thank you for coming along to our webinar. And we've got a great title. It's all about how you might be able to see into the future and the results of your digital transformation decisions before you make them, and how you're making them in a safe, non-risk environment. And today we're going to be talking about a fantastic, unique digital platform that provides that experiential learning. I'm joined by my colleague, Gert from Belgium, who is joining me to share some of his wisdom and thoughts about the platform and how it provides value to digital transformation in your organizations. So let's just push on with our agenda. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do. I'll do a little bit of intro on me. I'll hand over to Gert to do her intro to himself. I'm going to talk about some of the trends that we've seen as a consequence of the impact of COVID-19, and talk about some of the things that we've been, some of the conversations pre-COVID around technology, the rapid adoption of technology, and some of the survey results and how that inspired us to develop this platform to provide an experiential kind of experience around digital change. And then that kind of will lead into Gert talking about the digital business models, and we have you're going to be using Slido to reach out to you guys to get your views on those three models in terms of what you think, where do you think organizations are, either in your current organization. If you're a consultant, it might be for the client that you're working for. I'm going to then just kind of give some foundational information on what makes digital transformation successful and some of the challenges, and then that is kind of a prelude into me demoing the digital transformation simulation training service and the platform that we've developed, and a little bit about what some of our clients have been saying, and Gert will also finish off with a poll to gather your views. So let's kick off. Just a little bit about me. You can see my career history there, 26 plus years. I've really been at that intersection between business and technology, and using technology to bring about business change. And the key kind of buzzword in the marketplace has been around digital transformation, and particularly how you use disruptive technologies to bring about that change, to move it to things to online, to home working, to accelerating the delivery of your products and services to enhance customer value and service. And you can see from my career, I've worked in a number of brands in the public and private sector, as well as in management consultancy. And over the last 5-6 years ago, I decided to branch out myself and develop my own brand, IQS, Innovative Quality Solutions. And I've been doing some real hands-on practical delivery around digital change in the seat of the CIO or head of IT. So I bring consulting, I bring practical CIO and advisory and practical hands-on delivery of transformational change in IT and the business. That's me. Over to Gert to introduce himself.
Well, I put on here IT service transformation specialist, but I've been in IT operations really for the past 30 years. I've done a lot of stuff internationally, as you can see, the US, Japan, and Europe, and it's been all very practical, in the field, working, making sure that things go smooth. And then as time went on, I've risen through the ranks, started out in the old KB, that was Kredietbank in Belgium, went into Japan, then went into the dark Wall Street side of things, but I've never been a trader, and no, I was not responsible for the demise of Lehman Brothers, just in case you're wondering. I've always been on the IT side, working things. Finished off as a member of the executive group in IT with ING, and then decided to do my own company. And so at this moment, working for clients, working on processes that bring in excess of 300 million a year for various clients, all in the reliability and IT operations space. And I think I talk for both Kuldip and I. Whatever it is that you do, whether you become a client or not, we want you to be in a better position than before we met. And so that's a bit, in a nutshell, me.
Thank you, Gert. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you with me on this one. Being a partner in crime, if you want to say.
There we go.
So let me just put some context around digital transformation. Here's a CEO survey carried out by PwC, actually one of my ex-employers, in March this year. And they were asking them, where is the investment going to go? And if you look here at the far left-hand side, the biggest bar graph or chart or block, whatever you want to call it, is digital transformation. And the CEOs are saying that 34% of them said they're going to increase revenue spend, capital operational on increase of 3 to 9%. And 49% of them said there's going to be greater than 10% increase in revenue spend on digital transformation. I think that tells you the story. As we unlock businesses, as we come out of the pandemic, there's a drive to use technology to bring about that business change. There was the rapid adoption of technology before, that continues now. A lot of organizations have seen technology provide resilience and business continuity as we move to home working, and they can see the value and the benefits from technology providing that resilience, but also the data that you can get from systems to give you insights and bringing about change in your organization. So that's a great data point to start off with. And I picked this little plot from LinkedIn quite recently, and it's talking about in February, and he was talking about what drove digital transformation in your company. Some said it was the CEO, some said the CTO, but a lot of them said COVID-19. I rest my case on that one. Just a little bit about, I think I might have jumped across a little bit. No, I'm okay, that's fine. So digital transformation is complex. Look, let's not kid ourselves. 70 to 80% of digital transformation initiatives fail. It's a difficult thing to handle. And the complexity comes around because it's either not planned, there's lack of scope, you haven't ideated, you haven't taken people on a journey, you haven't got the vision and the mission, or your leadership and your culture isn't right, and it requires extraordinary, exceptional leadership, plus people who can empower staff and people in the organization to bring about change in a collective, collaborative way. So technology, you can always, it's probably the lesser of the evil, and processes as well, but it's actually getting people to work with you. And some of the things here, the four items I've kind of described are the planning piece, the leadership piece, and the delivery piece. You've got to not only have your own staff with you, but you've got to get your suppliers and your to work with you. You've got to report on it. You've got to realize the benefits, demonstrate that through good MI. And to make it all effective, the fourth block on the right-hand side is all about engaging stakeholders, making sure you have the right skills and capabilities, you're communicating constantly the value and the benefits, and you're making sure that change happens. And people are, in my view, people are not resistant to change, but what they usually are, they're very full of lots of hope because in the past, change hasn't been conducted well or hasn't been managed well, or they're fearful. And the only reason they're fearful is because they haven't been through the process and they don't know what's coming. So you have to demystify it, declutter it, and make that happen. So that's my little mantra about digital change. And I wanted to then just show you some of the kind of data points I've collected over the last 6 months. Again, this is a Slido survey, and what a lot of the attendees in my webinars have been saying is that there's a real lack of digital behavior and mindset, and the drive from the leadership to make the cultural changes that's required. And that stands up with my 4 key foundational areas I've just described. Another survey, again, in a different webinar, they really, again, it's that focus on getting the cultural change right. And the final word cloud that we pulled together for a third webinar that happened about a month or two ago, we said, well, what are the inhibitors for, and what the pain is the pain that the organizations, and I've described these words already. I don't have to repeat them, but you can see culture, leadership, all those aspects are really in getting buy-in and support, taking people on the journey. You don't see a lot of people saying the technology is rubbish or the processes aren't right. They're talking about, can we make it work together collectively, and with the vision, the strategy, and the going together. So, and why am I showing you this? The reason I'm showing you this is that it's inspired me to work with people like Gert and other organizations to develop this digital transformation simulation training platform as a starter for digital change. And before I get to show you that platform and the value it can bring, I'm going to just hand over to Gert to just talk a little bit about his experience around change and culture.
We're gonna go and start with a little story, and I've deliberately chosen these words like inclusion and care because these are really the buzzwords that everybody is using right now, be it in a different way. So we're going to talk about the Aetna story, and Aetna, maybe you guys know, but it's one of the biggest insurers and healthcare insurance in the U.S. But in the early 2000s, they looked really healthy, but internally, it was called Mother Aetna, and that's inclusion, all right. Like when your company is called Mother, and that was because they were really rigorous in their reverence for their own 150-year history, and they were very employee focused to the point that they were starting to alienate patients and healthcare providers, both of them. I mean, both of the two elements that they really need to provide their service. Mother, in other words, they would take care of its employees, and the only thing that these people needed to do was just show up every day and did not, don't cause any trouble or fuss. What happens there, right, is what that breeds you steadfast manners, risk-averse, mediocre behavior, and suspicion of any newcomer or outsider, right? And that culture then, obviously it's going to lead to an ever-increasing focus on costs, because we need to make sure that our benefits are in order, and that's benefits for employees, benefits that are for people that are included in the company, right? And that, of course, that's going to lead, if you're going to focus purely on that, the result is going to be that the clients are going to be less happy, your providers are going to be less happy, and it's going to result in lawsuits and all kinds of other backlash that goes against the company. And they actually had multiple CEOs, trying to change this culture and trying to bring in new stuff. And what they did is they actually started and tried forcing a new culture, which obviously that is never going to happen. If you try to force it, you go against the grain of what the people are. You go against the true being of your company. And what you need to do in order to make it happen, right, is you have to recognize that your company has grown in a certain direction and in a certain way, and has become a certain way over a long period of time, and that it's really ingrained into the culture of your company, right? And it's a little bit like anybody who's into physics, and about quarks. What happens there is if you try to pull quarks, and quarks are little tiny elements within atoms and stuff like that, if you try to pull them apart, the further you try to pull them apart, the more force you need to put. That obviously is really not the way to do and go when you want to affect, real good change, right? And so the last CEO, John Rowe, he changed that, and he started listening to the people and really building up the change from the inside out, and that is what really does that. And so the thing is what I want to say here is that when working with companies in transformation, first of all, what you bring needs to be a cultural fit, but at the same time you need to add new behaviors, and that's what I like to call a culture add. And your culture add is not just some new buzzword, it's really affecting change through small behavioral and incremental changes that you need to bring. And you need to start out from the core values of your company, and then start from there and use those as levers to affect your change. And that kind of leads us to the different operating models that we have. So we actually have 3 models. So don't worry about it. It's not going to be all too much. And basically, in the traditional operating model, the key elements here is that you basically work with siloed operations. So every different department works in their own way. They've got, their own distinct business processes. It's typical they use traditional development practices, and you have vertical IT systems because these are ours. We've done it like this way. Maybe even your company has grown organically, and you have just left all of these existing systems in place. And so that you end up with a combined and very internal IT infrastructure. And then typically what happens is management wants to start up and they want to transform, and the focus is on digitalization and on increasing efficiency and, in between brackets, reducing cost. And then you've got the second model, which is the hybrid operating model, where you have obviously your traditional part, but you have started playing with some outsourced models, with a bit of a transformation and transformed models. You might have even done some digital acquisitions. And that is fine, that is good. It's a first step in the right direction. So you're still focusing on digitalization and transformation, but there is a big issue here, and that is typically that the old stuff is still there, plus the new stuff. So what you've done is you've actually increased your cost base and you've increased your operational complexity. And then obviously the visuals tell you already where we want to go, and you want to go to a model that, regardless of all of the different elements that it says here, you want to go to a model that focuses on customer experience. This is not an end state, by the way, right? Your end state, you focus on customer experience, that will shift, the meaning of that will shift over time. To give you an idea, up until now, whenever I walk somewhere, I want Google to know that, I'm here. It wants to say, okay, well, your nearest coffee is over there. You always do this. Oh, by the way, there's an update over there. But we're already seeing a shift from convenience towards more privacy. So it's not because you put something in place today that tomorrow, you gonna have the right thing. And that's what basically really this transformed model is all about, because this is about focusing on what the customer wants based on big data and different ways of operating, and being adaptive is really the key word here. And so you're focusing on value rather than, cost or complexity reduction. And with that, the question then becomes, of course, which model does your organization have? So I see, by the way, that David in the meantime has asked if there's a recording, and yes, there is. So we will send out the link to what you need. So which model does your organization have, right? So based on the previous slide, where do you see that you are? Are you in traditional? Are you already in the hybrid? Are you already transformed? Are you somewhere in between? Or perhaps you're a digitally mature enterprise and you are already beyond digitally transformed. And if that's the case, then Kuldip and I want to talk to you, because maybe, there's a couple of things that we can learn from you, or we can have conversations on some other topics with you. And on that, I'll hand it back over to Kuldip for the Slido.
So for everybody on the webinar, to choose your option, there's a little barcode there. So we're using the slido.com as the app. So with that barcode, it will take you to Slido, even on your mobile device, on your PC or your laptop. And then once you get into Slido, there's a number there called #683903. That will take you directly into the Slido question, and you can choose your option. So I'm going to now just quickly switch over to Slido so we can see the results of your submissions. Yeah, so bear with me. So Gert, tell me when you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see it.
So everybody, if you could navigate yourself over to Slido using the code or going to slido.com and make your selection. Tell us where you think your organization is today, or if you're a consultant, where you think your client that you're working with is. Now, don't be shy. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Right. Keep on going, folks. Let's give it a little bit more. Oh, okay. There's a little bit of a battle going on between the traditional operating model and transitioning from the traditional to the hybrid, which is no different to the other surveys we've done with other webinar attendees. Traditionally, we get the very similar response. The one that's interesting is between hybrid and transformed. Probably quite a mature organization. That's a great data point, but not too different to what I would have thought it would be. Any thoughts from you, Gert?
No, but it's a bit what I expected. I was actually expecting to see a little bit of a higher number in between traditional and hybrid enterprise. But that is actually, and it's a very interesting data point there that still 40% here is showing the traditional operating model, as it's tightly linked what I've seen so far, but we may hear otherwise. That's tightly linked to the type of company and the type of product and service that's being delivered. But no, this is great.
Thanks. So I'm going to switch back from that so that we go back to the slides, Gert.
Yeah, bear with me for just a second. And let me get this back up. There we go. Set it right. Yes, there you go.
Okay. So far, what we've really done is set our thoughts and our experience around what's going on at the moment. We know digital transformation is not easy. It's difficult. It's a very people-centric approach. It requires a very people-centric approach to change, and particularly around the culture and the leadership. And we've also, from the survey poll, you've seen that most organizations are still traditional or trying to move to become a little bit of a hybrid. They're nowhere near the highly digital native or the transformed one where there's high customer experience. And that's what really hasn't, it's great to hear that, because that's what's really inspired us to develop this digital transformation simulation training platform. And at the core of the training platform is experiential learning. And what you can see in this slide here, there's a little kind of plan, do, check, act cycle going on. In the training platform, we simulate the maturing or the developing of an IT function within the business. And you effectively, what you do is you have the option to play a number of strategic maneuvers in the consider phase, implement those strategic maneuvers in the implement phase, and then move to the observe phase, where you observe the impact of your strategic and operational changes on your dashboards. And you can see, according to 4 key business metrics, i.e. revenue, profitability, customer satisfaction score, and revenue loss, for instance, to see how that strategic maneuver that you've made play out. And from that will come some learning, because things work, sometimes things don't work. And within a cohort of between 5 or 10 people, as you play the game, so you're playing it as a single virtual player, And in a team, you have a leaderboard, as in within the team, and you have a leaderboard within the sector that we've chosen, and we've chosen the airline sector. And the whole premise of this simulation training is to ensure that we can bring across experiential learning around making decisions that you can do in your own environment, but you're doing it in a risk-free, fun and competitive way to play out the decisions that you make, and they see the results of them played out, so that you can then take that learning and apply it to your organization. And that could act as a catalyst for change. And that could be at the start of your digital transformation journey, or actually it could be that you're part way through your digital transformation journey, but you've gone down a path that's a bit murky. You're not quite sure, and then you need to come back and re-energize your team and have some more input about the right, or the path that you would like to go on. So that's why we developed the platform. Typically, it's played out in a half to 3/4 of a day. Here's a typical agenda. Now, this is agenda that I've actually gone through with a number of clients as we've played the simulation. It's something like 4 to 5 hours. And the reason that it can take so long is we play 12 rounds. 12 rounds, 1 round equals 1 month, so it's a whole year's of gameplay. You have each, and they're split into quarters. In the first quarter, we're thinking about stability and managing critical systems. In the second quarter, we're thinking about, again, still stability and how to bring in efficiency in your organization. And in quarter 3, we're now thinking about introducing new services that can impact customer experience and score. And how does that, balancing that new service introduction with managing what you've already got? So it's that IT operations and development balancing act that everybody has to do in technology to deliver value. And then we try to align the two in quarter 4. In each quarter, at the end of each quarter, we do a review with the attendees to understand what they've learned, what their good maneuvers were, bad maneuvers were, and that brings around that sharing of knowledge. It also, because we have a whole variety of people with different perspectives in across IT and the business in the cohort, you get different perspectives and you learn about what the other side of the coin is and what they view as value or not view value. And secondly, it also then starts to break down silos, and you start having conversations around, well, we went through these 3 rounds of play in this quarter, we learned this, how this is something that we should be thinking about in our organization. So that's typically the agenda. We look at the enterprise flow, we look at customer stakeholder inputs to understand the current situation in the gameplay, we look at strategic, tactical, operational demand, and as I said, the two halves of the game. First half, we're focusing on stability and operations. The second half is talking about managing new services and agility. So we deliver products and services that are adding value to the customers in the airline industry. That's the market segment that we've chosen. And we're measuring that impact using those 4 KPIs: customer experience and satisfaction, revenue growth, profitability, and revenue loss through incidents. So that's the kind of thought process for the game. Just to highlight some little bit more rigor and detail, just to give you a feeling of the thought that's gone into the simulation game. If you can see, if you think of this as a typical business life cycle from plan, build, deploy, and run, the red arrow is the operation stability world, and we are going to be focusing on how to ensure critical services are available, the infrastructure is stable, we are managing requests and incidents in your IT, in your business and IT through the service desk, how we're bringing about channel shift and bringing around efficiency to ensure that customer service is responsive. And we bring in various scenarios in the game. In the second half of the game, we're focusing on the blue arrows, which is a kind of thinking about the strategic demand and how that feeds into technology, and how you might want to think about moving from a traditional waterfall model to maybe agile ways of working, and not compromising quality at the same time, and bringing in things like test-driven development, peer code review, unit testing. And the balancing act that IT typically have is what investment do you do in the red area and what do you do in the blue area to ensure customers value? And that's, again, a number of scenarios are played out, and that's typically getting a culture where you can have development operations working together, and hence the word DevOps. So let me just now talk to you as we go into the game, and I'll demo the game for everybody so they can kind of experience it and see the depth and breadth of the algorithms that we've developed to make this game available to organizations. So you are today effectively Global Air. You're in the airline industry. You're running Global Air as the attendee in the workshop. You are in a very software intense industry sector, and we chose the airline industry because everybody recognizes going to an airport, going on a holiday, going for a business trip. It was something that was really easy to people to latch on, particularly pre-COVID, and obviously post the pandemic, the airline industry will bounce back, so it will be even more relevant. The change that was likely to happen. And that airline industry has been going through that digital experience. If you think about the three models that Gert talked through, the traditional to the hybrid to that digitally operating model, the airline industry have been moving left to right in those models, and there's no different to the scenario that we've chosen. So that you as the attendee are your Global Air, and you'll be measured. Your value will be measured as you try to move up the leaderboard to turning the negative operating margin to a positive operating margin. So as the transformation director for Global Air, you need to improve the delivery of new and existing services. You need to implement strategies and plays that will allow you to increase value through service management and DevOps. You need to reach the top 50 in the airline leaderboard, and you're competing against your colleagues, i.e. the cohort you're with, and in that market leaderboard. Your whole aim, the KPIs, you're trying to, here's the 4 KPIs I've mentioned earlier. You're trying to reduce the revenue that you're losing through incidents. You're trying to increase the benefit from new releases, which are new function and features that will have customer value. The whole essence of the game is to enhance customer value and experience and being focused on the end user and customer always in what you do from technology service delivery. The cycles, just to enhance my earlier messages before we go and play the game, there's usually 12 rounds. We're only going to play 3. We're going to go for consider, implement, observe, and review. Now, I am acting as the attendee for this demo, so I'm going to be playing out the demo as an attendee, and I'm going to show you the maneuvers you should make. And I know the happy path, so I'm cheating a little bit because I know what to do, but I think it's important to demo that across so people can experience it as best as they can through a webinar. And we'd like you to get your thoughts, and Gert will ask you for your thoughts after I've demoed it. And obviously you can always reach out to us, and we can give you a further more detailed overview and demo of the platform as we go into it. Okay, so the approach is understand the current situation in each round and each quarter, identify the root causes and what you've got based on the information you can purchase, and implement your strategy. Decide on what you're going to do. But you are Global Air, you own a company, you got to make it work. You got to turn that operating margin to a positive. You got to get revenue in. You got to make sure your customers and end users are satisfied, and you got to reduce the revenue that you're losing through incidents. That's real life. That's what happens in companies. You've got the ability to purchase reports. They could be software, hardware, dependency reports. That will allow you to determine what strategy you play. Do you upgrade a service because it's actually providing detrimental customer experience? Do you introduce a hardware failover? Do you isolate a service through a microservice so you can better manage its dependency? These are all plays in the game, and you'll see them. What we're going to do, we're going to go through 3 months or quarter 1 play. Our task as Global Air is to go from a negative minus 3.3% operating margin to 3.7. improve our customer satisfaction score from 64 to 68, and reduce that revenue loss from incidents from about 11 million to less than 5.5. Shall we play? What do you reckon, Gert?
Absolutely. And for those, when you look at these numbers, by the way, you think, yeah, we can't get there. Just know that, for instance, the cost per minute of an incident, that can range anywhere from $450, something small company, to over 17,000 per minute. So that's something to bear in mind as we go along here.
Absolutely. Let's get the platform up, and I'll show, and I'll switch over to it. Here we go. Okay, Gert, you need to tell me if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so when you come into the platform, there's an admin console. That's for me as the facilitator. As a demo play, we're not going to do that. What we're going to do is see month one play out. So I'm going to press play standalone game. And what you got happening now in the background is all the servers are booting up, and all the scenarios and all the data that we've gathered over 25 years are now being processed, so that whatever you as the attendee in the workshop and the simulation training, the scenarios play out according to the strategy that you implemented. It does take a few seconds because it's quite data intensive, as you can imagine, with all the scenarios. Let's watch month one play out. I press the button, and what you should see in a little while is a screen. Gert, can you see the screen?
Yep.
You can see a leaderboard. As Global Air, on that leaderboard, you should be shooting down to 250th with a negative operating margin. In the middle, what you can see is the IT services of Global Air, the front, middle, and back office IT services. If the IT service is red, it means it's down. If it's amber, they're being rebooted. If they're blue, the service is up. There's something like 40, you can see here, there's something like 45 incidences, and we're 250 in the leaderboard. There's a customer satisfaction score, and I'm going to press the view reports. When I press review reports, as I said previously, there's the 4 KPIs, and we can see operating margin, experience, lost revenue, and benefits realized. The whole premise of the game, as you can see in the plot in the middle, is to get the green line, which is your revenue that you're generating, above the fixed cost of your business, which is the red line. And if your revenue minus your fixed cost is a positive, you're going to get operating margin. Your business is doing well. If I press the Insights button, what you can see is the scenario of Global Air and their situation from their stakeholders, be that from the market or their CEO, CFO, and internal stakeholders. As you can see, the CEO saying, our goal in Q1 is to get Global Air into the top 200 and our operating margin 3.7. We need to reduce our incidents lost down to less than 5.5 million. Tech Ops is saying, we're not prioritizing our incidents and our services according to criticality. We need to sort this out. And importantly, very, very importantly, our customers are saying there's an overall poor experience with the online booking system. So I'm just going to quickly, with that context, I'm going to switch to the strategy slide button. And what that shows you is all your existing services. We can filter them according to the revenue that they generate each day. So the online booking system or payments or ticketing, they can generate significant revenue. And some of them, and as I've filtered according to revenue and customer experience, you can see some of them generate a lot of customer experience, as online booking would be, because you want to make sure it's up and it's working so people can book. And you want to prioritize those critical systems, are customer facing, because why wouldn't you? Because they're the ones going to give you revenue, and you want to ensure their customer experience is good. You can play a number of strategic maneuvers here. You can upgrade the software to a V2, you can introduce failover, and you can bring in a microservice to isolate dependency as well. In each round, you have $50,000. We're using a small budget because the budget forces the attendee in the workshop to actually prioritize, because IT typically don't have a bottomless pit of revenue and budget to spend on each month or each year. And there's a full strategy list as well. And we're only going to play Q1, but remember, there's 4 quarters or 12 rounds, and you've got budget to spend on things like managing quality, bringing in speed and flow, improving the value of what you're delivering, managing value for what existing services, for bringing in instant knowledge management, instant prioritization, plays around improving mean time to restore, high availability, event management, and they are all there as you go and play the game. But I'm going to go back to my reports bit because I know we've done month 1. For month 2, I really want to know what's going on with my existing services. So I'm going to press the service performance button, and the service performance button brings up all my services, and it's telling me, oh, I can purchase a couple of reports. And I know availability is really important for critical systems. So I'm going to purchase that. It's going to cost me 20,000. And I know that's going to take 20,000 from my 50,000 budget for that month. But what this does reveal for me is what systems are up and to what level of availability. Again, I filter according to revenue generated by that service. And you can see the online booking should generate 180,000 per day. It's only generating 40,000. There's quite a delta, and it's low availability. But I still don't know what the root cause of that problem is. And the only way you can get the root cause of that problem is by purchasing problem management. So I'm going to press problem management. It cost me 15,000, and my budget's dropping again because I only had 50. But what that's telling me, again, I'm going to filter according to my services and the revenue they're generating. What it's telling me about my online payments and all the other services I provide to my customers is the root cause of the problem. Here for online booking, I can see there's a delta again, low availability because the software is a problem. Payments has a software problem. Ticketing platform has a hardware problem. So that's giving me, so the value add here is that my business critical systems and services have problems. I've now got to the root cause from problem management, and I can fix things. But my budget's quite low. So I think what I'm going to do in terms of for month 2, I'm going to see if I can actually, I know the online booking is critical for customers, and I know there's a software problem. I've got 15,000 left. I'm going to purchase a software upgrade because I've got the budget. What I'm also going to do for month 2 is prioritize these services. And I'm going to do that according to anything that's above $100,000 revenue generating per day. I'm going to make as high, 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 and high. Anything between 50,000 revenue generating per day and 100,000 I'm going to make medium, and anything below 50,000 is low. So I've done a software upgrade to the online booking system because the customer, the stakeholder feedback and customers are telling me is poor quality. So I'm going to upgrade that, and I've done some prioritization of my services, and I'm going to see how that impacts my month 2 on global air in the airline industry. I've pressed play, and here's my strategy plays. I'll play month 2. Let's see if that has a positive impact of global air in the airline industry. It's just firing up. It does take a few seconds because it's running through all the permutations and the information I've provided it with. And let's watch out month 2. And month 2 is now firing up. And what we can see, so as the days go by at the top there, can you see us moving up the leaderboard? We've gone 250 to 242. The customer satisfaction score is hovering around 60, 63. We've gone up to 220, 218, 16, 15, 14. Let's have a look at the number of instances have dropped from 45 to 42. Let's have a look at our business KPIs. Our business KPI, wow, look at that. We've gone from minus 3.3 operating margin to plus 2.3%. Our customer experience score's gone up, not massively. We've really stamped down on our revenue that we're losing through incidents. Remember, it was 11 million, it's gone down to 6.8. and we're up to 211 on the leaderboard in the market segment. So we've made some real positive impacts. That was month 2. Month 3, we start again. We've got 50,000. Remember, I'll be the attendee, and I'd go and look at my service performance and see what else I can do to enhance the stability and the resilience of services to my customers. Again, if I've filtered according to revenue generated, I know that payments, that's an important system for your business, right? You want to get those invoices paid. You want a software upgrade, or let's filter again according to the revenue generated per day. All right, so you can see online is now 100% available. I think payments is a problem with the software. Ticketing is a problem with hardware. I've got 50,000. I think I'm going to go and make a play to improve my payment software and the hardware failover for ticketing. So I'll go over to strategy, payments. Let's see what the payments say. I filter again according to revenue and customer experience. Payments was a software issue. That's going to cost me 15,000. That's dropped from 50 to 35,000. My ticketing platform had a hardware problem. I'm going to put in a failover. My revenue's gone to 10,000. But I'm very happy with those plays because they'll fix 2 business critical services that are impacting our customers and internally in our business. And I'm going to watch month 3. I've got 10,000. I might go and have a look if I can purchase a report for 10,000. That might help. I go to service performance and I have a look, and is there anything I can purchase? MTRS, will that help? Hey, it's 10,000. Okay. Is that going to give me anything? Well, it just does tell me mean time to restore, but it's not really giving me loads. But it's money that I can actually get away with in terms of spend. I'm going to play out month 3. Let's see how that helps. Remember, I've done a software and hardware upgrade and to increase the stability of the existing services. And let's see how that impacts our global air in the market leaderboard for the airline industry. Just give that a few seconds to play out, and let's look again. We'll look at the scenario that we've got ourselves in now. Here we go. Let's watch month 3. And what we can see in month 3, we were 216th, I think. We're shooting up the leaderboard. Remember, 3 rounds equals 1 quarter. We've completed the quarter. Our target was to get into the top 200. I am hopeful we can break into it. Yes, we have. We're above 200. The number of incidents have dropped from 45 to 40. Our KPIs, are the KPIs going in the right way? Yes. Operating margins improved. Our customer satisfaction has gone up. Remember, our target was to reduce revenue loss for instance to below 5.5 million, and we're 193 in the leaderboard. At this stage, what I would do, and I'm going to come back to the slides, Gert, is I'm going to draw in. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'd like to come back to the slides and show everybody what we did. So at this stage, what I'll be doing is bringing everybody in who are playing the game in that single virtual play. And I've just played out what I would do because I know the happy path. And here's the happy path for quarter 1, the 3 rounds that we've played. I'm not going to read out what I did. They're there. But that I would ask the cohort to say, what did you play? And remember, at the background, I know what other people have played, and I'd call out somebody who's done a really good maneuver, strategic maneuver, and to understand why it worked for you. Why did your KPIs were positive? And then that learning can be shared within that team. And if I then call the team together and say, look, let's have a review quarter 1. We've learned some stuff, and what are those things? Well, 1, it's so important to have a clear business intent. We knew that Global Air wanted to be in the top 200. They wanted to reduce the revenues to around revenue loss, for instance, down to 5 million. And we were focusing on customer experience and value. DevOps and ITIL, all at this core center. It's all about delivering IT value to end users and customers. Third, learning. It's so important for your business to have good MI and dashboards. You need to have good dashboards around availability, understanding the root cause of problems, prioritizing your incidents according to the impact they have on the business and end users, so you can focus resources to the right areas at the right time to ensure you're giving value to your business. And so those learnings I would have gone through as a team, and then I would have asked the team, how can we now apply this to your organization? Do you have a clear business intent? Do you focus on using ITIL or DevOps as a best practices? Do you have incident management as a process defined? Is it tailored to priority and providing invisibility and automation? And what do you do around managing your critical services and availability and service requests? So we get into a discussion. So you can see the game opens up an experiential learning experience for you and your staff to talk about the challenges you have in your business. And at that point, I'm going to just finally close off by saying I've only taken you through Q1, but there's 4 quarters of play, and your KPIs will trend something like this if you go on the correct path. But what this is telling you, you can mature, grow, stabilize, make your business agile, bring in a DevOps culture. So if you can simulate it in your safe, risk-free environment, and you've learned some of the plays that you can make, you can go and apply that in your environment, in your context, in your organization to create an improvement plan for change around digital transformation. It's possible. And it also helps energizing teams who are stuck in where to go and the path that they might tread, and through that experiential learning. At that point, I just wanted to give you, and I'm going to hand over to Gert, is that here's a customer client testimonial where we took them through 2 or 3 workshops of 10 staff each. And as you can see here at the bottom right, it says the teams were energized for change, improvement, and collaboration. It led them to deliver this training across all their IT teams. It moved them into a pilot project for DevOps, and it actually shifted their mindset for change. And if you recall from my earlier discussion, we were talking about mindset shift and culture change. This training platform helps organization transform, shift their mindset on customers and digital transformation. I'm going to shut up and I'm going to hand over to
Gert. So in any case, that was already a lot to consider. We've shown you even in just 3 months, and actually one of the comments that we got earlier was like, yeah, well, these reports, they seem so expensive, you know, is this real? And my answer to that would be really just consider if you have a team that is within your IT department, and they have to look at problems, and then typically KPIs on problem resolution are like, okay, fine, you need to come up with something basic in the first 48 hours, and then you can take your little time, say 10 days or 20 days to go and dig deeper, and then it's X months to go sort it out. But if you've got a team of say 40, 50 people that are working for 20 days or an entire month, you can see that the costs and the prices that people actually pay within companies in the real world, they're actually even multiples of this, and especially given, you know, the revenue numbers and stuff and the own budgets that you've seen, it's quite realistic as to what we've done here. Now the question, of course, is, you know, now that you've experienced this and you've seen, you know, the way that this can work also potentially within your companies, is like, I'd really like to ask, what are your thoughts on this, and give us a word or two on how you feel about what we've shown you. And Kuldip is going to pull up the last Slido for today.
Yeah, thank you, Gert. I'm just going to switch my screen. So the Slido details are exactly the same. The barcode's the same. It'll take you to slido.com with that number, and we'll go to the second survey. And this is a word cloud. So if you go to that Slido, please type in 1 or 2 words that describe to you what you've just seen in the demo from the Digital Transformation Simulation Training Service. Gert, there's some actual messages coming through. I wonder if you can, what your thoughts are.
Yeah, exactly. So it's clear. So no single person is going to do this all by themselves. The CIO alone can issue edicts and everything that he or she wants, but it's really about inspiring your team. It's really about making sure that there is a safe, and it says here safe learning, and you can go into even further and make that safe environment where people can express fears, express ideas, and get it all together. And a very important one is here is obviously is the collaboration and the IT of getting the IT and the business together, pulling in one direction. And as you move along, and as we all move along in time, there's very few businesses left, save for manual labor businesses, etc. But there's very few knowledge-based or service-based businesses left where IT and business are not, one really, and that's really what we need to have everybody understand. And so there we go. Collaboration is very, very important. And I think the last one is actually really nice to hear. Is like that this was a digital masterclass, and that we should actually give that to people in the office. So that's a really nice one.
Sure, thank you. I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just jump back to our final slide.
Yep.
I think, as a next step, we'd love to hear your feedback and your thoughts. And if you want to book in a consultation, there's a URL link there. There's my contact details, Gert's contact details. I think I just want to thank everybody for attending, providing their feedback via the Slido polls, and listening and watching our demo. It was quite speedy, but tons and years of experience packed into a gamification that can really inspire your organization with digital change. That's all I wanted to say. Gert, anything, your final comments?
Well, thanks a lot, Kuldip, for having me on here. And as Kuldip said, you can contact either one of us if you want to know more about the digital experience. My gut feeling would be is give Kuldip a quick call. He's the one who's been doing this for quite a bit. I'm along for the ride on this one, and if you want to get specifics on parts of the run IT operations, then feel free to give me a shout. But either one of us is absolutely fine, and we're looking forward to potentially work with you. But if it's just about oh guys, how would you do A, B, or C? We're quite happy to give you a couple of tips and tricks.
With that said, I think we should call the webinar to an end, and see you soon.
And thank you, everybody. See you soon.